Hello, 7th grade. So you're ready to start your projects. I'm sure you're pretty excited to be able to be using the machines for other than just your pincushion. All right, let's look to see what's in your project. When you open it up, you've got some straps. You've already been using the thread. Don't worry about the straps. Let's look at what else is there. You're going to have two pieces of fabric that are essentially the same size. One will end up being the front and one will end up being the back. But we don't have to worry about them right now, so I'm setting out of the way. The other piece of fabric, the shorter piece of fabric, is going to be the pocket that goes on the front. Now you need to make sure you look at it and make sure that the pattern is going the right way, or if it's just any pattern, it doesn't matter. My flowers, though, have to be pointing up, so this is the top of mine. Now, when we sew, a lot of times we sew on the wrong side. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to lay it down on my table, and then I'm going to put the top of it, this is my top, close to me, because then you can see it on the screen. We're going to sew this so there's not that cut edge anymore. And to do that, I'm going to fold approximately 1/2 inch down. And if you lay it down on the table, then you can kind of use your finger and press on it, finger press it. So, that way it just kind of helps hold it there for a minute until we do the second fold. So one fold, and then fold it right on top of each other for a second fold. Now you've done about 1 inch all together between the two folds, 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. You are welcome to get a sewing gauge out and measure those if you want to. Now I've finger pressed this, so it's staying pretty well, but since I need to move over to a sewing machine, or you're going to move to a sewing machine, I am going to take a straight pin, and remember, pin down into, come back out so it lays nice and flat. If you use your straight pins so they stick off a little bit on the fabric when you're sewing, you'll be able to grab that straight pin and pull it out of your way so you don't sew over it by accident on the sewing machine. So I'm doing my pins, and we're pinned and ready. You're going to go to a sewing machine and you're going to sew close to that bottom edge, right close to the bottom edge, not to the top, but the bottom edge, and sew all the way down so the bottom edge is secure. I'm not going to show you that part, but you should be able to put your thread in your bobbin in your machine, load this in your machine like this, and sew close to the edge. Make sure your presser foot is completely covering up this inch, and you'll know you'll get a good seam straight down your pocket. So let's pretend that I don't have any pins stuck. In fact, I think I've got it tight enough. I can take my pins out and pretend it's sewn. I'll need my pins again so that I don't leave them too far away. And remember, it takes just as much time to put your pins in your pin cushion as it does to throw them on the ground, because then I'm going to come by and yell at you and tell you to pick them up. Got this sewn. We're pretending mine is sewn, yours is sewn. When you've got this sewn, you're ready for part 2. Remember how I said there's two pieces? One's going to be the front and one's the back. They're both the same size, so you just pick one of them out. Any one you want. You only want one. Lay it back down and look at the direction of the flowers if you need to, or if you have a print. I think the only one of ours that really has a print we have to worry about is the Girl Talk. It does have words that you don't want to be upside down, because then that would be an obvious mistake. Okay, so I'm laying this down face side up, or the right side up, so I can see my flowers. I don't want the faded side. I want the right side up. I'm going to take my pocket, and let's see, I'm trying to see which way. Okay, so this is the bottom here, and remember, we're pretending that I sewed the top and it's all nice and sewn and it doesn't have a cut edge anymore. I'm going to lay that on top of here, matching up the bottom corners. So these corners aren't sewn yet. I'm going to match my bottom corners, and I'm going to put some pins in. You'll need a pin. You'll need to pin the sides. So you've got two sides and a bottom. Pin the two sides and pin the bottom. The more pins you put in, the more you have to take out later, but I still suggest putting several, maybe a couple on each side and a couple on the bottom. Then you'll go back to your sewing machine, and you're going to attach the pocket to the front of your bag. Just moving my pins around. I'm adding more pins. You can add more pins too. That way when I show it to you, my pocket won't be floppy. Don't want to have a floppy pocket. Okay, so here's what mine looks like now. I've got the pins on the side, and so I have pins coming down this side, got pins on the bottom and pins on the other side. You're going to go to your sewing machine. Make sure that your bag is laying off to the left-hand side. This is where you're going to start sewing on the right side, right-hand side. Sew down one side, turn and pivot your fabric. Sew down the bottom, turn and pivot your fabric, and sew again on the other side. So it's two sides in the bottom. Do not sew the top because this is a pocket. You have to be able to get into it. Once you have all of that sewn, you will have your pocket attached. So that's the second thing you have to do. But then before the pocket is completely done, you can kind of see how it's just floppy right there. We do want to find the middle of the pocket and sew a seam up the middle. Seam, S-E-A-M, is a word that means sewing line, and we do want to sew up the middle. You can find the middle a couple different ways. You can get a measuring tape, and you can find the middle and measure over and find what divide the width in half. So the width of mine, if I use my mat down here, is, so what do we have? So if we start at 40, so 15 inches. So the middle of mine would be at 7.5. So I could measure that out and draw a line and follow the line. Or something that I like to do that's very simple is fold it side to side. And again, remember how easily I was able to finger press. Then down the middle, I'm going to finger press. Just hold on to these and smash them together. And I'm going to end up, when I open it, we will be able to see a bit of a crease, and it doesn't show up real well on the camera. But there is a little bit of a crease, and I can take that to my machine, starting at the bottom, and just sew straight up the top. Let's keep in mind, I haven't said this yet, but every time we sew, we do back stitching at the beginning and at the end, because that's our knot. You don't have to tie a knot on a sewing machine. Do your back stitching. And the stitching that you're using on this is stitch 1 or stitch 2. We just want a straight stitch right now. All right, this is all I'm going to say for this video, because this is a lot to get done when you and a partner are sharing the sewing machine. So you're going to hem the top of your pocket. Mine kind of fell out because I have the pretend hem. So hem the top of your pocket and also attach the pocket to your front of your bag and sew up the middle. So several different things. If you guys stay on task and you don't have to switch out your thread too many times, if you've got the same color thread, if you're sharing, then you might be able to get that all done in one day. All right, have fun with it, and we'll see how much you can get done tomorrow.